Jennifer is an assistant professor in history at Wayne State University. She's been doing research in Accra in Ghana and in London for the last 10 years. She's interested in the everyday lived experience of Africans and the varied ways the mundane of everyday life, I really enjoy that phrase, intersects with 20th century liberal ideals such as development, citizenship, modernization, and democracy. So let's welcome Jennifer.
Thanks, everybody. Oh, I think you can hear me. It is working. I can hear myself at least. So, I wanted to talk today about a project that is ongoing in partnership with Matrix at MSU. So I'm a professor at Wayne State, working with Matrix, one of those great across the Michigan Research Corridor sorts of collaborations that I think we can encourage more. But this project is called Accra Wala, which is an extension of my first book called Ghana on the Go, and a blog that I write, Ghana on the Go. And this project is a digital mapping project set in the capital of Ghana, Accra. So this is Ghana here on the West African coast, and Accra kind of right in the center, right on the coast. The capital of colonial Ghana, which was known as the Gold Coast, and in the contemporary nation state of Ghana, the center of business and the cultural life of the country in many ways, and certainly the political capital. And this project seeks to map the informal public transit system in Accra called trotros. And these are the kind of minibuses or minivans that transport the vast majority of the population. About 85% of road users in the country travel on these buses. And these are kind of similar to the kinds of things, the forms of public transit that you see elsewhere in the world, right? So the kind of hollowed out 15 passenger vans that have been retrofitted and decorated, and they have slogans on the back of them and are sometimes kind of highly decorated on the back. So it's a similar sort of culture, though I argue in my work it comes from a different place. So our goal in this project is to create an interactive online map of the trotro system in Accra. And in some ways we're inspired by the Digital Matatus project that you might have heard about. Digital Matatus worked to map the network and system of the matatu, which is similar to the trotro, in Nairobi, in Kenya, right? And they've been extremely successful out of MIT and produced this very elaborate map and have an ongoing project which they're attempting to expand to other parts of the continent and potentially to other parts of the world. And so it's a kind of data collection. It started out as this kind of mapping Matatus project and has turned into a larger kind of data collection project. So on the one hand, we're interested in producing the map, right? The map is useful, the map is important. It's difficult to navigate the system, to navigate the trotro system. There's not a kind of a map that is publicly usable at the moment. So the kind of map part is foundational, right? The navigational purpose of the map is the kind of base or the foundation of the project. But on top of that, we hope to layer additional kinds of modes of interaction. The first being educational, right? So producing an archive that provides resources for students and faculty and people in the general public to understand a little bit more about what life is like in Accra. I think most of us probably have a sense of the kind of limits of knowledge, particularly among Americans, but people all over the world about the African continent, right? So it's part of that larger project, but it's also part of a project to increase resources in the classroom. Those of us who might teach African history subjects are well aware that there's real limits to the resources available to you that you can use with your students and that students can use for research projects. The other layer is conversational, right? So our goal is to provoke conversation within the Ghanaian public, between the Ghanaian public and other parts of the world. And there's long-term and short-term parts of this project oriented around something we call itineraries, which give you a way to kind of navigate through the project through kind of stories or the life experiences of people. And then a long-term project with crowdsourcing and social media to get additional data into the website. So there's this additional map that was created by the French Development Agency in partnership with the Accra Metropolitan Assembly that creates the base layer, and they've let us use their data, which is really helpful and made my life a lot easier. But we want to add on top of that this kind of sense of an Accra street sensorium, and so to collect information about what it's like to live in the city and to portray that on the map so that the map comes to life in a way that most maps don't. We're working on making that happen, and this is a work sample that some of our colleagues in Matrix produced, but we're still in the funding process, still trying to obtain funding. Just keep your fingers crossed for us. There's a lot of challenges in this, and I talk about this as a work in progress, but one of the things that I wanted to emphasize today is the importance of partnerships in a project that is this complicated. So Matrix obviously being a big partner in the French Development Agency, but also Ashesi University, Meltwater Entrepreneurial School of Technology, Impact Hub Accra, which are institutions in Ghana that help us collect data and process the data. Digital Matatu's OpenStreetMaps, Accra Wala, which is a social media platform, the Nana Project, which is collecting stories already, digital stories, Trotro Diaries, similarly, African Urbanism, similarly, and then other Ghana studies scholars. All these people can contribute to the content of the site and enable us to kind of enrich the conversation in ways that don't require me to personally go out and collect every piece of data, which is exhausting. I've already done that once, and also to make sure this is a publicly engaged project, right? To involve the general public in the creation of the project itself. Great, thank you very much.